What's we talked about
Yeah.
you talked at the beginning of this year about what you kind of expected this year to be like, as the Cena didn't really play a whole heck of a lot. What was it like? I mean, going through, what were some of the challenges you had to go through this year? What was it like being the captain, being the guy?
Yeah, well, it's obviously not over yet, but up to this point in time, it's been a challenge, but a challenge that we've all taken on as seniors. There's a lot of younger guys, a lot of guys who hasn't played a lot of minutes in assembly and whatnot, so we kind of take them under our wing and go from there.
Was anything different than you expected?
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of different challenges that I wasn't really expecting, but we've overcome them and we're still continuing to work on them.
Well, what are your thoughts about your place sort of in IU basketball history? A lot of people have mentioned you're kind of the bridge, so to speak, between, you committed before it came back, now it came back, and you're sort of here with some of the younger guys who are going to be here later. What are your thoughts about that? And is that even accurate in your eyes?
I don't know. I just want to be remembered as a guy who played hard and gave us all every second he was on the court. I obviously didn't score as many points and did all the other things that other guys in my recruiting class and whatnot have done, but I like to think that I gave it my all here.
Bill, do you have a memorable, probably several memorable moments, but anything that kind of stands out as you look back over the 4 years?
Yeah, I've had some great memories, obviously. The year that I hit the shot to go to Sweet 16 was big for me. Also, Kentucky, CY hitting that shot was big. Just the whole experience, though. I've played with such great guys, and they've really rubbed off on me.
Jeff, does those 4 years go by quick, or did your time go by quick, or does it seem like it's been a while?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where you're like, gosh, you never think a day like this will even get here, but now once it's here, it's like, now you think it's got here so fast. Every year has been kind of like a blur, so it's kind of hard to imagine that we're already at this point, but it's definitely been a good ride.
Taylor, how about you?
Kind of the same thing. We were actually kind of talking about the other day, thinking back to freshman year, you have some of those hard practices, you're like, man, senior year, can't get here fast enough, but then now that it's here, you look back and it flew by. Even just this year, all 4 years obviously flew by, but even just this year, I remember yesterday we were sitting in the locker room thinking, oh, this is the first practice we're ever going to have. So it flies, it goes really fast.
Nobody's excited to leave college, but are you ready? Do you feel like you're ready to move on to the next stage?
It's very bittersweet. I'm excited to kind of get out in the workforce and start working, have a little bit more than a couple $100 in my bank account from month to month. But yeah, it's definitely a change. It's a lot different than just going to class for 2-3 hours a day and then practicing. You're going to be working then 8 to 5 in most cases, so it'll be a different adjustment. But I'm excited a little bit to get out in the real world.
It's funny that you think that
Yeah.
happened.
It doesn't.
Evan, I know this was.
I was going to say, Evan, just, you're 9 months here, I guess, whatever, what does that mean?
It's been a lot. It's something that I thought about playing here even when I was a little kid. So, getting to at least experience a year here and, play with some of these guys, it's been an honor.
Evan, what's just changed for you in the last, couple of games? What were you kind of struggling with in the middle there, and just what you feel like you figured out in the last 2 games?
I guess just, my offense and defense intensity. I think it's, picked up. I got Will, always stressing that it's a last go round. So, just making sure that I try to go out with a bang, I think that's the biggest thing.
Evan, what did it mean to you to play for Indiana? You talked about when you decided to come here, how important it was. What's it been like to actually wear the uniform?
It's been an honor. It'll definitely, go up on my wall as one of my pictures that stand in the middle, even though I spent 1 year here. So, I think, throughout the years, even when I left and went to Liberty or Arizona State, I always, continued watching IU basketball.
What was your best memory from before you came here since you came? Best memory of Indiana?
I guess, last year, the whole run was exciting for me as a fan, a spectator, and a Hoosier grown guy. I think that was, pretty exciting, just seeing the change from, the little darker days to how it came up to last year. And I thought they were going to win a national championship. So it's been, exciting watching everything.
And how about since then?
Being here, you get a totally different perspective. But, it's meeting some of these guys, I would have never probably met Will or, you know, Yogi. Well, I kind of knew Yogi, but like some of these guys, Jeff and Jeff Austin and Taylor, of course, you know, it's, you know, just to have another group of guys that you can always lean on and, you know, talk to after the season and, you know, joke around with. It's always, you know, good to build more people around you that you can trust and you got memories with.
Well, what was kind of some of the leadership stuff you learned from Jordan, Vic, Christian, some of the older guys who moved on, obviously?
Well, Vic and I were the same age. I taught him everything he knows, so just want to clarify that. Jordan and that class really just taught me how to just handle myself. You know, I can honestly say on campus, my first couple of years, I didn't really, or actually, I should say my first year, I didn't really know how to conduct myself, and those guys kind of taught me, hey, this is what we do here. So, you all right back there?
Well, we'll find out.
So, yeah, I mean, those guys just taught me so many things on the court, obviously, but off the court, I think they made the biggest impact on my life.
You know, and also, I was kind of talking to Cody Zeller today, and he talked about your little competition with Jordan Holes in the VO2, how you beat him. Can you just, I guess, talk about the overall fitness competition, not between you guys, but just how you all kind of work to make each other better?
I'm not sure if you beat someone that badly, it's a competition, but, I mean.
How badly was it?
It was bad. But, I mean, Jordy and I competed in numerous things. That kid works harder than anybody I know. So, you know, there's always a competition of who could do this the longer and whatnot, so, but that wasn't a competition. He knows that.
Cameron, what did you teach Will and what did he teach you?
I don't know, that's tough. There's been so many things I've taught him. I can think of a couple that he taught me. I think Will and I had a class together first semester, and I didn't join the team until about October. I was in communication with the coaches about it, but I didn't know for sure if I was going to have to go to walk-on tryouts or have like a preferred tryout. So I didn't really talk to him for like the first month, but I do remember kind of right when I started practicing with the team, it was kind of one of those things where some random guy shows up at practice, nobody really knows who he is. But Will had recognized me from class. So we kind of like started sitting with each other, and then even like just stuff on the weekends, if they were all doing something together, he kind of reached out and invited me to do that. So I think that was, I guess that wasn't something I really learned, but I thought that was kind of nice of him to reach out in that regard. All the guys were nice about it, but I just kind of remember that in particular. I'd like to think I taught him a little bit how to shoot, but I guess I can't take full credit for that. He's in the gym all the time. But yeah, I've learned, I mean, I was a hard worker in high school, but it's kind of a whole different level of work ethic you see with guys like him, Jordan, Vic, how much they're in the gym. I was in the gym every day in high school, but not like these guys were. These guys are in here for hours and hours, so I guess that's a big thing that I learned.
As well as you kind of been the captain this year, have you started to sort of take on some of the other guys' sort of development, their accomplishments, I guess, and start to take pride in them yourself? And is there anybody whose development this year you've taken a lot of pride in just because of the impact you're able to have on them?
Well, you know, when you win games, it's really the biggest accomplishment. And, you know, you can kind of see the pieces all coming together at certain points when you win games. And I think it was a week ago in practice, I remember saying, wow, we wouldn't have done that 2 months ago. You know, somebody helped someone on defense and the other guy helped him. And I was, you know, usually we would just stand there like, hey, that was that guy's problem. So really, I think just helping each other, getting through everything, really, I've kind of noticed that.
And Coach Green said that he saw a change in you kind of after the Purdue game, basically, that was sort of a moment that served as a turning point for you, I guess. What was that like? I guess, what did you kind of come to realize at that point? What do you feel like, you know, changed for you from that point on?
Well, I mean, that was just definitely a big part in our season of where it could even go for the worse or, you know, a turnaround. So I thought I, you know, would take it upon myself trying to get things going, keep everything positive from that perspective, yeah.
Jeff and Taylor, I guess both of you guys talked at the beginning of the season, even before, about just how much pride you take in scout team work and getting those guys prepped just game to game. I mean, what was that development like for y'all from, you know, being freshmen to growing into that kind of role? And Jeff, obviously for you, especially this year, growing into maybe a larger on-court role as well.
Yeah, I was going to say I could probably take that question because Jeff's got a little bit more of a role on the team than the scout team does now. I don't know. I think it's been kind of the same every year. I mean, I've been kind of from the bench proud of what Jeff's gotten to do on the court, just because obviously that was a goal of mine, but being a little bit smaller, not quite as athletic. We always say Jeff's the ATH, the athlete. But But being a bigger guy, he's got a little bit more of an opportunity to make a defensive impact, whereas me, I don't think I can name 2 people in the Big Ten I can probably stay in front of. But I don't know, just kind of getting those younger guys adapted to the fact that they're going to have to work really, really hard in practice, like Joe Fagan, Andrew Calamares. It was nice having Johnny, who got to do a lot of that last year. But, yeah, I think that was our biggest thing on Scout, is just trying to – it hits you pretty quick how hard you're going to have to work for very little recognition, I guess, for the fans and all that kind of stuff. You have to be okay with getting that recognition in practice and kind of treating those practices as your games.
Evan, I know you didn't imagine going into your career that you'd play for 3 different schools and all that, but just looking back, just the whole, trip through college, what stands out with all these different stops you've had?
It's basically been like a stair-step, career. I think, starting at Liberty, I mean, it was tough my freshman year. I mean, I didn't even imagine staying in college for 4 years. It was just a wear and tear every single year. And as the years went on, it just got kind of harder and harder. So, I've had good moments at every school, I believe. And, to end here is, exciting just because I always wanted to come play here at some point in my life. And when I left to go to Liberty, I thought, that was definitely out of the question. I thought I was going to stay at Liberty for all 4 years and, to see where my career went after that. But, just having the opportunity to come play here and play at the BCS level, I think, it's been, a good journey.
For all 4 of you, if you could go back and give some advice to your freshman self, what would you do?
Nobody wants that one. Gosh, that's tough because I don't really know if I would do it much different than I did. I guess just stick with it, kind of like I talked about earlier. There's those days early, freshman, sophomore year, I guess especially freshman year when we're not winning many games, when you're kind of maybe have a bad loss, you come back and practice is just brutal the next day, and you're kind of getting done, just really tired, kind of trying to fit, like in your head you're kind of thinking, man, I don't know if I can make it through 4 years, that type of thing. So I guess I would go back and just kind of reassure myself that it's all going to be worth it in the end. You grow up as a kid, especially being from Indiana. This is the epitome of what you want to do with your basketball careers, come play for IU. So you kind of have to reassure yourself that at some points, just because of how hard it is. So I guess I would just go reassure myself that the 4 years is going to be worth it, because it was.
I've got to get these guys back, so I'm going to let a couple more questions on Nebraska, if you want to get that in. Go ahead and get them right now, and then I've got to take them back to more film and stuff. So,
I guess talking sort of spinning forward from Ohio State for Will and Jeff in particular, just kind of, Will, you talked about after the game, how proud you were the way you guys kind of dealt without Noah. Just what were some of the keys to that? Jeff, maybe you can speak to it too, just that post-rotation, what works, what really, I guess, what worked for all the guys that played down low without Noah in the lineup?
I mean, we knew Noah wasn't going to play. It's the same thing we've been saying all year. Is it's basically next man up. And Hunter definitely took his minutes and played very well. Devin played well, and I did what I could. And we just knew without Noah in there that he brings a lot to our team. So we knew we weren't going to bring everything that he would bring, but we had to pick up the defense, the rebounding, setting screens for other guys, because we know we're not going to go in there and be expected to produce offensively maybe what Noah does, but we just had to come in and play defense and rebound to make up for his absence. And like I said, it's just next man up, and you can't be the guy that's, well, Noah's not in, oh man, now I got to play. You got to be ready to go in there. And like I said, I think Hunter did a tremendous job when he went in there, and hopefully that'll carry forward, and he can take the next step in the next games we got coming up.
I guess just as a follow-up for any of you in Nebraska, you've seen them once. What's different about them? Kind of a month on now. What are they doing well? It seems like they're better at home just statistically than they've been on the road. But kind of what really jumps off the scouting report with them?
I don't know. I think more than anything, they're trying to get to the same place we are right now. So it's going to be 2 teams battling for their NCAA tournament life. I think a lot of it's going to come down to who wants it more. Obviously, we're really hungry right now, playing well.